Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
I remember when the ATL wasn't banging, now they banging, 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 banging. Niggas throwing sets and them bullets start ringing, bitches banging, 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 banging. I remember when the ATL wasn't banging, now they banging, 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 banging. Niggas throwing sets and them bullets start ringing like bang, 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 bitch, nigga, bang, 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 bang.
Yo, peace. What's going on? What's happening? Wanted to come on real quick. So just like I said was going to happen when I was live earlier today, during the live, the Supreme Court ruling came down on birthright citizenship. And it went as I expected. Just like I said in the live, I expect for them to uphold birthright citizenship as is, right? I expected that. I've been talking about birthright citizenship now for the past 2 years. I did a comprehensive video discussing why there may be some defense in a radical view of how we look at birthright citizenship. I went back into the history, and y'all let me know if y'all can hear me too. I went back into the history with the Senate debates with Senator Trumbull of Ohio and the rest of the framers of the 14th Amendment and what they were debating on the Senate floor in regards to writing the 14th Amendment. I did all of that. Peace, Kelly. What's up? What's up, MD? I was reading some of his quotes. Yeah, I'm gonna do a tonight. I'm gonna do a detailed reading of. I want to focus on Clarence Thomas, just him. I want to focus on Clarence Thomas' dissenting opinion, and I'm gonna read the whole thing. Like I said, I'm going in on it blind. Like I haven't read anything. I've been working all day. I haven't read it, so I don't know what he said. But I've heard rumblings. But I want to read for myself. I don't know how long his actual opinion is of the 100 and some odd pages of the ruling. I don't know, but I'm gonna read it tonight. I'm gonna read it. I'm a damn sure do that. Let me put the link in here just in case anybody want to come in and get their thoughts on it. Just in case anybody want to come in and give their thoughts at any point in time. But like I said, I expected this because, you know, though I can understand the arguments of the citizenship clause being specific, at the end of the day, nothing can be specific in the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't allow specificity. The only exception to that rule is with women's suffrage. That's it. And that's only because the specificity was needed under the Equal Protection Clause. You know what I'm saying? At that particular time. That's it. And it had to be codified through the other states. That's the only reason. But other than that, there can be no specificity in the Constitution. And it's like a lot of people don't understand that for whatever reason. You know, when you tell somebody, hey, man, look, you can't discriminate on somebody based on race, gender, sexuality, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times they go in one ear out the other because they look at state law, they look at statutes, and not look at the letter of the law itself. And I think that's harmful to the discussion. You know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. That's just me personally. There's always time for dialogue and debate. But the citizenship clause in the 14th Amendment is as clear as day. I mean, it's really not no getting around it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, anyone, that's what the Constitution says. It ain't MD saying it. Anyone, born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. A lot of people get hung up on subject to the jurisdiction thereof. We're going to talk about that a little bit more tonight. But anybody that's born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. That's clear cut. I mean, shout out to Breeze Omega. I was on his live earlier, you know, and he was trying to say, you know, they were making a vague distinction in the opinion. I'm like, the Constitution ain't vague. And if that's what they said, that's a bad outlook on the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is there to cut out vagueness. So, you know, that's kind of a bad look. If that's what they said, again, I don't know if that's what they said. I don't know. But no, the Supreme Court knows the clear-cut design of the Constitution, especially when it comes to the letter of the law. Now, the spirit of the law is, you know, that's an entirely different thing. That goes back to originalism versus a living document, you know what I'm saying? Which I believe it could be both. I believe it could be both. People, Ricardo, what's up? Ricardo says the interpretation of the law here for birthright citizenship wins here. There was no debate. Born and naturalized is a U.S. citizen. I mean, in that regard, that ain't really interpretation. That's fact, because that's what it say. You know, again, letter of the law versus spirit of the law. Plain text versus interpretation. You know, the Constitution is interpretation proof in a way. You know what I mean? You know, it's really not up for interpretation. It's clear cut. That's why I said, you know, really this wasn't a fight.
In 1 3/4 miles, exit right.
Black Americans, you know, Negroes, American freedmen should like be having, because it's sometimes it's inconsequential to us. Like it don't affect us, because we are the living, breathing result of the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment. It's us. We are the living document. You know, a lot of time, you know, and this goes back to like FBA and stuff like that. When you talk about gatekeeping, you can't gatekeep the Constitution. The Constitution was meant for everybody, whether you like that or not. So let's go ahead and get into the subject to the jurisdiction. I'll talk briefly about it right now. And this is what I was saying in Breeze Omega's live, right? And like I said, shout out to Breeze Omega. He was making some great points. But again, this is not a fight for us to have, because our citizenship is concrete. There's no doubt about it. Talking about American freedom. We are the 14th Amendment. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't about us. It ain't about us at all. It's about letter of law versus spirit of the law. Letter of law is plain as day, like Ricardo said. Plain as day. Anybody born and naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof are United States citizens. You just got to chalk that up as a loss.
Keep left.
But the reason that you got to chalk it up as a loss is because how the case was presented. The Solicitor General of the United States did a horrible job presenting his case in oral arguments to the Supreme Court. And everybody got fixated on that 1898 Juan Kim Art case. Everybody got fixated on it. I'm like, why are we even talking about this? I brought this up in my comprehensive explanation of birthright citizenship almost 2 years ago. Everybody is going to be fixated on Juan Kim Art because they look at that case as the precedent to birthright citizenship. It's not. It shouldn't be. Not in this capacity, it shouldn't be. In the Juan Kim Art case, Juan Kim Art's parents were legally domiciled here in the United States. They did nothing wrong. Juan Kim Art was born, I believe it was San Francisco. Juan Kim Art was born in San Francisco under a legally domiciled Chinese mother and father. He left to go, I guess, see family or whatever the fuck in China, came back. They said, whoa, you ain't a United States citizen. He said, yes, I am. Hell, I was born up the street. My parents live here. He was denied entry. He brought a case before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court went back to the same letter of the law, saying, hey, look, the 14th Amendment in the Citizenship Clause clearly says anybody born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are clearly United States citizens. Let him in. He won the case. From that point onward, a precedent was set. Whether you agree with the ruling or not, that's inconsequential. A precedent was set as far as what birthright citizenship was by the letter of the law. So there ain't no arguing that. If you're born here by birthright citizenship, you are a United States citizen. What about the question of illegality? Nobody brought that up. What does it mean to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof? Just because, and I'm going to use Breeze Omega in the chat, I'm going to use his lingo. If you're a tether, let's say you're a naturalized citizen of the United States, you have a child. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. If you're here under TPS, temporary protective status, meaning you have legal status here in the United States. You might not be a citizen, but you have some type of legal domicile here in the United States. You get pregnant, you have a baby, guess what? That baby is now a United States citizen. What about illegality? So if I'm from another country, the moment I step foot on American soil, despite whether I'm a citizen or not, I'm subject to the laws of the United States. Unless I'm a foreign dignitary, I'm here as an ambassador from another country. They are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They're a sovereign entity. Everybody else is subject to these laws here in the United States. If I go to another, well, let me not use that argument. If somebody comes here on vacation from another country and they steal something here, they're subject to our laws in the United States. Therefore, they'll be arrested for stealing. It don't matter if they not a United States citizen or not. Everybody is subject to the jurisdiction thereof in the United States. So for the Solicitor General to use that argument was wrong. In fact, he could have, now this is me. In fact, he could have used the 14th Amendment in his favor. Listen, everybody that steps foot on U.S. soil are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, meaning they're subject to our laws. Once a border crosser steps foot in the United States, he has broken the law. He or she has broken the law. They're subject to whatever federal statute or code we have as it pertains to illegal immigration. Point blank, period. We can't have a future outlook on what we need to do with these people. We need to have an instantaneous process of how law and order works. Instantaneous. We need to know, like, we need a process. You know what I'm saying? We need a process. It's not that the system is broken. The system is fucking slow. It's slow. Temporary protected status isn't the issue. It's the length of these people being on temporary protective status. I'm not against immigration. I'm not. I'm not against a person from a third world or global south country having an opportunity at freedom here in the United States, because I'm pro-freedom. I don't follow the same algorithm as FBA and all these people worrying about immigrants all day. At the end of the day, I'm a capitalist. Everybody should be afforded some type of chance at opportunity. I don't look. It's too much money to be made in the United States. You got to understand. And again, this is not me caping for immigrants. I'm saying it's inconsequential to me in my life. Our focus shouldn't be that. Our focus, we need eyes on the prize, and that's reparation. All this other shit, it don't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? But the Constitution, legality, and the rule of law matter to me too. If you break the law, it need to be some type of consequence. And an illegal immigrant broke the law. So why do we don't have an apparatus in place in order to bring down swift justice on people that break the law in any capacity? In any capacity. But we know that's not Trump's stilo. Trump don't give a shit about the rule of law. Trump give a fuck about optics. That's it. That's why the ruling wasn't in his favor, because he didn't sit down and think this shit through. Because it never should. The 14th Amendment shouldn't even been in the conversation. It shouldn't have been. It always should have been surrounded around illegality and ethical standards surrounding how we facilitate immigrants under TPS and refugee status. It always should have been there. There shouldn't even be a question about illegal aliens. It shouldn't be a question. Shouldn't be a question. But I'm intrigued to hear what Justice Thomas saying in his dissent. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. So we're gonna see what's what tonight. I got the fuses, so I'm able to charge my laptop or whatever. But I'm about to get ready to go through the forest, so I know I'm gonna lose the feed here in a second. But I just wanted to come on and say that, man. So tune in tonight. I don't know what, I ain't got a time and no shit like that. As soon as I finish work tonight, tune in tonight. I'm gonna be doing a live reading of Clarence Thomas' dissent in the Birthright Citizenship case. So we'll see what's what, man. Hey, with that, I say peace, y'all.
Wah, wah, wah.